Well, finally we got the second unit for this ranking event. I'm gonna be honest, it's pretty weird making a tier list for this ranking event because we don't always get these multiple target ranking events. So many units are just gonna be like in tiers that we wouldn't want them to be in, but many units are just useless. Let's be honest. Many units you just can't use. You just won't reach big damage numbers with that you normally would high damage numbers with. And many units are just, the boss has physical resistance again. It gets like 50%, I believe, at the start. So units that we usually see are just gonna be, in a weird situation, in a weird tier yet again, like just like with the win ranking event. So yet again, if you don't have the newest units, the units that deal high AOE damage, you're just not gonna place high. Like you have no way to place high with like poor Kirito, this or with the Dress Alice. Like these two units, they are like one of the two hardest hitting units for single target, but they just got cocked by the ranking event because one thing is that they don't have an AOE incarnate skill, and the other thing is that they do physical hits. So from like 400k damage that they usually hit, they hit around 400k like against like normal bosses that don't have any kind of resistance and anything. They are hitting like, I don't know, lower numbers, like almost like half of that, I believe. So it's just not fun. But again, you just need the new units and you're fine. Like you can see like people doing like 10 million with Xenon and with some other units. So this is my take on the tier list. But I honestly, of course, don't have the new units. I didn't really test out much because, again, I don't have the new units, so I cannot even compete with those who have the new units. I mean, this is just my take on the tier list. It might not be 100% right. It's hard to rank units, because of the situation. So I do want to start with Yuki. I don't know why I said Roni to her. So I do want to start with the Halloween Yuki, who is the charge yeller for light element, magic attacker. So she's gonna be fine. She doesn't have an AOE incarnate, but you do need to have a charge yeller on the team. She does give 3 recollection field on her incarnate skill, which is very useful. And again, the charge yeller, like I believe she's on this banner, right? On Xenon's banner. If I am right, yeah, there she is. Because they kind of like did the newer units on Xenon's banner and the older ones on Lena's banner, which is pretty weird. So yeah, she does give the recollection field on the heal skill, and of course charge heals and gives the 3 recollection field down here as well. So she's a pretty solid unit, still very good unit, of course, because of the recollection field. So I have no complaints about her. I do have her, but again, she won't be your main damage dealer. Lena will be one of your main damage dealers. She is the second unit that we just got now. She is a pretty good unit, gives recollection field on both her break and assault skills. Let me just get her enhancement details. She deals more damage the more targets she can hit. So again, I mean, this tier list might not even be like, this tier list won't be viable for the next ranking event. I'm like 99% about that. But yeah, I mean, she's a limited unit, very good, by the way. Of course, for this ranking event, she's a top-notch unit in my opinion. Then of course we have admin. She is a breaker actually, who has she has an AOE break skill. That is pretty good. I think she's on the other banner, honestly. I just don't know because they just, yeah. So she has an AOE break skill, which is pretty good, gives 2 recollection field, and then she has of course the new Imaginarium. This is why most people were using her, is because she's an old unit and most people have 4 purple Imaginariums for her. So she gives 20% incarnate at the start, and then of course get the attack buff and everything. And she's like good to hit an incarnate with, you know, when the physical resistance goes off. So she's fine, but you know, so she was in the meta team before Lina came out actually, because Lina is the breaker that replaced admin for this ranking event, by the way. Yeah, that is that. Then we do have Kirito, who is a very good unit in normal situations. He's just not all that, of course. He doesn't perform nearly as good as he does. So he has to go into the good tier, sadly. I know many of you will say in the comments now that, but Bodex, he's a very good unit, 400k super strong incarnate skill. But his incarnate is like nothing. He's like a fly. He hits like a 200k incarnate skill to the boss, which is nothing, you know. Against multiple target bosses, he is not good, and that is a simple fact. Like, that is why he is down there. He is a broken character. I do know that. You don't need to remind me. I know. I like this Kirito. He's like one of my favorite units. But he's just not as good, you know, against these bosses. And that is why this tier list won't be viable by the next ranking event. And it's the same thing about this Xenon. Because I mean, she was a pretty good character when she came out. She's like almost a year old, I think. When she goes in S mode, she changes from a charger character into a breaker character, which is pretty good. She has a very creative design and everything, and she's still a pretty good character, honestly. She's not bad. But she just has to go into the good tier next to Kirito, and I mean, so I could even put her into the issue must tier, but I think she can sit right there next to Kirito. She's not nearly as good as Kirito, by the way. She has a pretty good design, but not as good as Kirito. So make sure to have that in mind. Then we do have Fanatio. Now Fanatio just got her Imaginariums boosted as well. She does give 20% incarnate charge at the beginning. She has an AOE assault skill, which is like okay, gives her recollection field on her other assault skill. But in my opinion, I didn't see nearly as much people using her than I did for, you know, admin, who is also a physical attacker. But the thing is that, you know, Light Element has pretty nice chargers. With, you know, having this Tisei, who people use actually, like, you know, the Xenon, and that is basically all you really need. So yeah, I mean, she wasn't as good of an option, but I do need to put her into the good tier because of her, you know, Imaginariums getting buffed, and I do think that you could make her work. So I think I'll be fine with putting her into the good tier. Then, I mean, I'm just sad, you know, about these anniversary units. Asuna just had to go next to Kirito. She's such a good unit with such a good kit. I don't know why I went from the back to the front right now, but I mean, yeah. So I mean, yeah, I mean, she it's just sad, you know, it's just sad. I mean, it really depends on the situation when you can use these units. And then, yeah, Fanatio is just good. I feel like I should make these tiers into two different ones. And I might even do that at the end of the video. But, I mean, yeah, I mean, it just doesn't feel putting Anniversary Kirito and the Fanatio into one tier to me. But it is what it is. So, Tisei, again. She is a character that many people use because she got her Imaginariums buffed. Here she is. So she is a magic attacker, has an AOE skill, which is very good for this ranking event. She does charge, you know, inflicts light continuous damage, and then has an AOE incarnate skill and heals. So she's pretty good in my opinion. And then yeah, she has her new Imaginarium, which is just crazy. Like, imagine getting a 32% magic attack buff and, you know, having higher charge against dark elemental enemies for infinite amount of turns. She's just she's just very impressive now, in my opinion. I'm very sad that I don't have her. She's a pretty old unit actually, and I'm sad that I don't have her honestly. But she just became OP for this ranking event. I mean, yeah, I mean, they just made her Imaginarium OP, man. So yeah, if you have 4 of her Imaginariums, you're set. She's pretty good. So, this is like, I think one of the first viable free-to-play units that we have gotten until now. I mean, yeah, I mean, the non TC was kind of viable, but this Soooo is very viable. Because of, you know, her whole kit. I have talked about her many times. I mean, yeah, I mean, she has, you know, the normal kit similar to Xenon's, you know, AOE skills, you know, deals more damage the more targets she can hit, has pretty nice Imaginariums, and then yeah, I mean, that is all she really needs to do. Like, her whole purpose is just doing damage, and she does that right. She does like 200k from what I've seen in some ranking event videos. She performs pretty good, if you ask me. Then we do have this Alice, who sadly isn't that viable. So if you must use her, you could. I really like this Alice because of her incarnate skill. It's such a great moment in the anime, and I'm sure that many of you don't have her or don't know what her incarnate skill is. But yeah, I mean, she's pretty good. Then this Asuna is actually pretty okay as well. I would put her next to Fanatio. She's like a pretty okay unit to use. So she got her Imaginariums buff the last time around. So she only gives 2.5% per Imaginarium instead of the 5% that Fanatio gives. Yeah, she's a magic attacker, which is pretty nice. Has a weak healing, which you will never use, but she does raise magic attack on that heal skill. So I mean, I think she is worth having in the good tier, if you ask me. Edis, poor Edis, yeah. She's just, you know, same thing with Alice, same thing with this Leafa, same thing with this Leafa. They're all physical attackers. This Leafa is like still such an old unit. But if you look at her kit, oh, we actually don't have her featured on these banners. So she has the attack buff, she buffs crit on assault skill, she lowers physical resistance on the charge skill. She does everything and heals on incarnate. Like, she really has a nice kit still. Her damage isn't as impressive, you know, compared to the newer units. But again, for this ranking event, she's not good. Same thing with this newer Leafa. She's pretty good. She just uses slash attacks, which are not good. She does recover HP on attack. So I think you could actually include her in the team if you really don't have any options, like the new Xenon, like Tisei and stuff like that. Like, she's a pretty nice option, but I mean, I'm just sad about these, like, you know, top tier characters just not being good enough because of how the boss is. But it is what it is, you know. They really changed up the meta for this one. So yeah, and of course Alice, you know, still one of the most hard-hitting light units out there for now. She's just not useful. Like, that is that. I mean, yeah, doing physical attacks, doing physical single target attacks just doesn't help her. This Xenon, poor Xenon, she does have an AOE skill, but I mean, she's like one of the oldest 4 stars, not good anymore, in my opinion. Then of course, the new Xenon. Now, she has the better kit. She is the best light unit for this ranking event, if you are asking me. So her buffing critical damage of all allies by 10%, healing like 7,000 from what I've seen in ranking event videos. That's just OP, and I mean, yeah, she does like massive amount of damage against the boss. She's just very good if you have like Imaginariums for her, like, you know, that's a bonus. And yeah, I mean, she's just the meta unit for this one. She will stay viable in my opinion because of the you know, the crit buff and the HP buff. She won't be as strong because you know, in future ranking events, if they will be single target ones, because you know, she won't deal as much damage as she does against this boss. But she's very good. She's broken, honestly, she's broken. And then we do have Roni, who will be in the very good tier, of course, with her being a break killer, you know, giving recollection field on Incarnate, the, you know, having her Imaginariums buffed. She just became better as well. And yeah, I mean, she uses magic attacks on top of that, so I mean, yeah, she's a pretty fine unit in my opinion. So yeah, I mean, that is that for this tier list video. Most likely this won't stay viable by the next ranking event. We'll see if it will be an AOE ranking event again or such. But yeah, I will see you in the next one. Bye bye.